My name is Yeong Kim. I'm professor of human development and family sciences at the University of Texas at Austin. And I'm also the principal investigator of Project Dual Developmental Understanding Across Languages. And today I'm happy to feature Blessing Okotie, who is our February 2026 Research Assistant of the Month. So the reason why Blessing got chosen for this honor is because of the incredible work she's done on my project. So Blessing started on my project, even though she was supposed to start in the fall, she wanted to get a head start and wanted to start early in the summer. So right away, I already had a good impression because she wanted to get a head start. And as soon as Blessing started, it was really obvious that Blessing was a gem among all the RAs because she would always be so punctual and always so timely in getting back to me about different protocols. And anytime she was confused about anything, she was so prompt in getting back to me about how to interpret whatever the protocol meant to make sure she was doing it correctly. And because she did everything so timely and so well, I quickly promoted her to be our head recruiter for our recruitment team of recruiting new research assistants. And since then, Blessing has taken on multiple roles within the project. She was on our daily calls team. She's also a mentor. She's also the person that lets me know when all of our presentations were done on time or not. And in most cases, students don't get back to me, so I have to keep bothering them to ask me to give me a report. But with Blessing, I didn't have to do a thing. She just sent me a report even before I asked. And of course, I was so pleased because then that was one more thing I didn't have to take care of. And Blessing, of course, do what I needed and got it done ahead of time. And so, honestly, Blessing is a true blessing on my project because of just the incredible energy she brings, the strong commitment she brings to my project. And she always goes above and beyond. And she always delivers, always on time and always exceeding expectations. And she's also on our social media team and always does amazing job with that too. So in everything that Blessing has taken on, it's just been just top-notch work. So that's why Blessing is getting honored today as February 2026 Project Dual Research Assistant of the Month. So, Blessing, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? How did you feel when I let you know that you're going to be doing this interview because you got featured and you got selected among the many, many research assistants on our project?
I was honestly shocked because like you said, there's so many other research assistants. I was honestly confused for a second. I was like, really? Like I feel like I barely do anything. But oh my gosh, thank you so much for like all the kind words you said. That's so nice to hear. Thank you. And it's an incredible honor to like actually get my work being like to be noticed even. So like thank you so much.
Great. So, tell us more about you. So, we want to learn more about your background. Tell us about your major, your graduation day, what your plans are after graduation. Tell us more about you.
Yeah. Okay. So my major is in human development and family sciences, and I'm getting a minor in professional sales and business development. I graduate spring of 2027 or maybe fall of 2026. We'll see. But my plans after graduation is to go straight into working. I have a couple of options that I would want to, a couple of options for careers that I want to get into. It's either like going into consulting or UX research or going into global sales. So I'm just like doing all the things I can do right now to not limit myself to just one specific career. Because, if you have the possibility to branch out, why not do it? Yeah.
That's good. So, tell us more about where you grew up and what were some key milestones in your life so far.
Yeah, so I grew up in Nigeria, and my family and we moved here. I would say it's still very recent, like 5 years ago, right before the pandemic and everything. So like still very recent, but a couple of milestones. Like that was the very first milestone in my life. Like moving to a new country, going to a new school, being so young, and then like COVID hitting too. Like you're in this new place and like you want to explore, but then you couldn't. So, yeah, that was my first big life milestone. The second milestone I would say is getting my first ever job, which was my internship at IBM my junior year in high school. It was such like I feel like I get so many incredible opportunities in my life. I'm just like I just want to do everything. So yeah, that was my very first job, and it was my very first internship, and I take that as a really big milestone because the next summer I was able to go back again and intern in a different business unit, and then coming into college I was able to like go back again to a different business unit, which is where I am right now. I intern in talent acquisition at IBM, and I've just been there since freshman year, and I'm just hoping for better things, like ready to say yes to whatever comes next. But yeah.
Tell us how you got to UT Austin. Was it your dream school or was just your backup school? Or tell us about your journey to UT Austin.
I would say my journey isn't like that, like fabulous, if you want to put it that way. I think after coming, to the US, I was just like, I didn't really have a specific dream school that I was like, okay, this is the school I have to get into. My junior year, I only applied to UT and Texas A&M. Like those were the only two schools that I applied to because they were close to home. And I was like, okay, whichever one, accepts me, I'll go to whichever one. And UT ended up sending me my acceptance letter first. And I was like, okay, this is perfect. It's closer, very closer to home than A&M is. So like that was just it. That was the whole reason I came here. I think, oh, actually in my junior year in high school, I got to be a part of the Subiendo program. It's like a leadership program for rising seniors. And I think that was also maybe a little bit of like the reason I was like, okay, I already made connections with people during the program. And it would be nice to go somewhere that I actually know people so I don't like have to completely start over fresh. But yeah.
I see. So then that program already had UT Austin students in it.
Yes, it's like partnered like under like the Macomb School of Business, but yeah.
It's good. Okay, so when you first started on my project, we were actually called Project Seed at the time.
Yes.
And then now we're called Project Dual. So how did you hear about our project and what made you decide to join initially?
Yeah. So it was an in-class presentation. I think an RA at the time like gave a short presentation, and like I was just hooked because I mean the project is kind of, I guess, related to my background. Like I'm not from here, and like with the like so I was like, okay, I have an interest in learning more about it, but I don't know if I'll have the time on my schedule. So I just looked into it from that point on. Like I talked to my advisor about it, and since I am an HDF major, she was like, well, you can just do it as your practicum credit, which is what I ended up doing, and like signing up for the 6 hour class. I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. So, yeah.
Sounds good. So what do you like the most about being in Project Seed initially and then now Project Dual?
I think being able to communicate, like network with so many people, like in my roles like they interact with each other in a very certain way. I get to recruit RAs, and then like I get to see the RAs that make it into the interview process, because I have to send emails to them concerning their interviews. So it's like getting to see that progression, and then maybe like sometimes I hear their names in class, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I recognize your name from when I sent you an email. But I think it's just so great how like there's so many different people from different majors. Like when I initially joined, I thought it was only for like practicum, like a way to get practicum credits for HDF majors. But like no, there's a bunch of different people, even people from like Macomb's like business or like interested in research. And like it's so exciting to talk about like like what role are you working on, how you're liking the project so far, and like ways you can branch out, advice, and like it's just great.
So is business the major that you had no idea students would be interested in research or were there other majors
Yes,
too?
yes, it was. I think it was mostly business because, like, I thought business, corporate, like, I didn't think like, oh, there would be people that was like still interested in research, but no, there's a lot of them that are interested in research, and they're even getting like a minor in like a science background, which was surprising to me. So, Yeah.
Yeah, so what I find is that, because for students who are interested in going to medical school, many of them are looking for research experiences. And so, even in Macomb School, many students are trying to go to medical school. So they're looking for a research experience. So that's why they work on my project. And I've had students from literally, it feels like almost every major on campus. I even had a textile student work on my project. And I even have engineering students. And like sometimes one time I even had a computer science student and he helped me program some cognitive games for me, you know. So really, like, there's really something for everyone. It's not just limited, even though I'm housed in the Human Development Family Sciences program, really, there's something for everyone in every major.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So if there's one word or sentence to describe your experience in Project Seed or Project Dual, what would it be?
I would say it would be like fascinating.
Okay.
Like I feel like because I feel like I'm a very timid person, so a lot of people don't get to like hear me speak about like, my background, they're like, things I've worked on. So I feel like when I tell the story of like getting to this point and like having so many roles and being that reliable person in like a huge project, it's just fascinating. Like who would not want to listen to it? But I've been having an amazing time so far. Like 3 semesters going strong, and like, it's just so incredible.
Sounds good. So what would you say are some new skills you develop while being in Project Dual?
Oh, I would say time management, because like I know I'm like involved in a lot of different things on and off campus and in my personal life, but I feel like you can never get like you're like, okay, I'm done with managing my time, like I'm best at it. I feel like it's always going to keep improving the more you add on your plate or the more you take off of your plate. So that's a skill that like I've always been working on. Like I'm like, I need to get better at it. Even my communication skill, like I still want to get better at like being able to communicate to people, because in my role, like, I communicate to a lot of people, which is like it's helping me because in my future career, like those three options, I do have to talk to clients and I do have to talk to like managers and like things like that. So like I want to get better. Like I love growing. I don't like being comfortable where I'm at. So like I have a bunch of skills I could list that like has developed like that. I'm excited to keep learning, keep developing in every way, both technical and even like non-technical soft skills.
Sounds good. So how has your experience working on my project changed or possibly not changed your view of research?
I think it made research feel more human and dynamic to me, because I feel like when I think of research, I think data. Like, how you see in movies, it's like, you're collecting data for this and you have to show your results and all of that. So that was my view on research. But like, I got to learn that it's also like about strategy. Like, you're also making real world impact with, even the little contributions you make. Like, so I am a very logical person and I like to think strategically. So I'm so glad that I got to do that with you while we were developing the protocol for the lead recruiter role. Like I love being able to do things like that. So like that really being a part of the project changed my perspective on like how research work, like the behind the scenes work too is also like really important, and you have to like go through multiple different process to get to that like in front of the scene work type, like. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
what's so interesting is the hardest part of any research involving human subjects is recruitment. Not
Yeah.
only recruitment of research assistants to help you with the project, but also recruitment of participants to participate in research. Because nowadays, I mean, every time you shop somewhere, you get a survey asking you to fill out your experience, right? And
Yes, yes.
so people are really tired of doing surveys. And so there's just strategy involved in just figuring out how to recruit participants and not
Yeah.
only recruit them, but because my study is a longitudinal study, we need strategy for even retaining them longitudinally. So there's a lot of strategy involved in and a lot of business skills, that we can implement in doing a research project. It's not just about collecting the data, analyzing and publishing. Of course, that's the core of what research is, but there's
Yeah.
so much more to it as you've pointed out.
Yeah.
So, how has your experience at UT Austin changed as a result of being in Project Dual or Project Seed?
I think it gave me like a stronger sense of direction. Because coming into UT, I came in as a bio major, wanting to go into medical school and like not medical, sorry, PA school, and be like working in healthcare. That has always been my dream. Like growing up, I've always wanted to be a doctor, but coming into like UT, it's more like I think my perspective changed a lot more um when I took my first HDF class, HDF like 313L if I'm not mistaken, because we got to go to the UT lab school and like observe children's behavior and things like that, and like it gave me a little bit of like snapshot of what a researcher does, and like it's more interesting to me than like just general biology. So even being a part of the project, I think it just solidified my choice that like, okay, this is the career path that I've chosen. After this is exactly where I want to go. Like I don't see myself being like in the healthcare field anymore. Like I want to keep talking to people, keep developing in that aspect instead of just taking care of people. So yeah, I think it just solidified that choice for me a lot more, and like yeah.
Okay, one question I have is I meet so many students at UT Austin who want to do PA school. And I feel like even PA school is even more popular than medical school, to be honest with you. And I
Yes.
wanted to ask you, why is PA school so appealing for students? I'm just curious, tell me more. I just want to know.
So in my high school year, senior year, that was when I decided that I was going to pivot from medical school to PA school. And back then, I didn't even know what PA school was. My high school health science teacher was the one that talked to our class about it. And what made me like was like, okay, I'm gonna pivot was the length of the schooling, because it's only like 2 to 2.5 years of like your master's in physician assistant. So I was like, okay, like I get to have less depth, and also I get to work with patients still. Like, I can still specialize in the area that feels calling to me. So I just had a lot of like pros than cons for me. That's why I made that switch. And I think it's the same for a lot of people that like want to go to PA school as well. It's just you get that flexibility of still working in the specialty you want to, but not that long years of schooling.
Oh, gotcha. So
Yeah.
then, so then the other question I wanted to ask you is you mentioned how being taking HDF 313, the child development class, how going to the lab school where you can observe young children helped you
Yes.
feel like a researcher and helped you realize maybe PA school is not the right fit for you.
Yeah.
And so then did you end up changing your major at that time?
I
After,
think I changed my major before that even.
oh, you did? Okay.
I yeah, I my freshman year, second semester, that's when I started to doubt that like, maybe bio is not for me. So I started looking into other majors, and my advisor told me about HDFS, and I had never heard of it. Like honestly, if I had heard of it before coming to UT, that's the major I probably would have chosen. But she told me about it. I looked more into it, and it just felt like at the time that was what I wanted to do more of. I mean, even when I switched my major over to HDFS, I still wanted to go to PA school. But as the more I learned about like, the researcher, like life, like the background and all of that, the more I felt more drawn to it. Like instead of like just general healthcare, taking care of patients and all of that, I actually want to like I said, like I'm very logical and very strategic. So I actually want to be part of like building a process for patients instead of just taking care of them. So that's why I think learning all these and like even going to the lab school was like really impactful for me, because I got to like learn the behind the scenes even more, and it's going to help me when I want to go into that strategic role of like maybe behavioral research someday. Who knows, to like pull from those experience, like pull from the experience of like being on this project with you, and like my time working with other RAs, even my time at my internship. Like I feel like this is just the time for me to like grab all those experience and just take it with me to where we're gonna find out later on. But Yeah, I love learning.
The one thing you said that I was really struck by is you said you didn't know about our major in high school. And
No,
you
I
said
did
if you had known, you may have chosen that coming in
not.
instead of discovering the major as an undergrad. So, what
Yeah,
are your thoughts on how we can promote this HDFS degree plan and what it entails? Because I feel like, just like you, if more students knew about it in high school, they may even have chosen it coming
yeah,
in instead of
yeah,
discovering it after they get here. Do you have some
yeah.
thoughts on what that could look like?
I would say it could look more like they could like maybe the department could learn from maybe what you're doing, like doing interviews with RAs and like talk more deeper about like, okay, how did this class impact you? What made you do that initial switch? Like what have you even like not even just undergrads, I feel like more so grad students, people that already graduated, because like even like on Reddit, there's a lot of people that graduated with HDFS and like they talk about their experience. And when I wanted to make that switch, I went on there and like I looked at it and like they were all so positive. So I think there's not a lot of that on like Instagram or like the UT page. So maybe like branding it a little bit more, but from a student's perspective. Because I mean, I would listen to someone that has or is going through the same experience that, I'm going through more than I would from like, an adult, So yeah, I think more visibility, more branding on like what even like what we act because I didn't know that HDF 313L was a class that I was going to take till I actually like looked through my plan. I was like, okay, this is really interesting because sometimes you just think it's just very broad, like you go to a class all day and you sit in it. But there's a lot of different things you can do. Like I mean, my HDF practical was what got me to sign up for Project Seed at the time. And like so there's just so many things you can do and you don't know about them till it's like sometimes too late, honestly. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It seems like you discover research because of the practicum
Yeah.
requirement.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have done it unless it was required of your degree
Yeah.
plan. That's so great. I have never met in that case. So, what are some of your other significant experiences as a student at UT Austin?
I don't think I necessarily have a significant experience at UT. Since I started at UT, I've mostly been like having real world experience, I would say. Because when I came in like as a bio major wanting to go to PA school, I mainly focused on like volunteering at my church or like volunteering, and I got a job my freshman year as a resident aide for an assisted living facility. And like that was mainly what I did throughout freshman, sophomore year until I changed my major. And then like also during that time I was also interning, so I feel like I've had more real world experience than like a regular UT student. I think this semester I am more like getting active on campus than I have before because now I'm just like, okay, there's a lot of different things I could be involved in. I'm not again trying to like limit myself to just one aspect, but yeah.
So, I was really impressed with your experience at IBM. So, how do you manage that together with being a student full time and working on my project? All like it's, and you do everything so well. So, I'm just curious, what's your secret for getting everything done so well?
Being organized, like that is just the number one thing. Like I have two different calendars on my like the regular Google calendar and the regular Apple calendar, and I just separate. No, I just have Outlook on my phone because that's what my job requires me to do. So with my job, like they're so flexible. My managers, they're amazing people to work with. So when I'm working on your project, I just block out that time on my calendar so they don't schedule a meeting with me. Or if I'm in a class, I just block out that time and I just take it off when I'm done. So that way they know, okay, I'm free. They can like connect with me with something that I need to work on if I need to. And I mean, it's just being really, I like being organized so that way my brain doesn't like go all over all over the place. But yeah, I think being organized is like the number one thing. Yeah.
Seems like the two different calendars is like secret to your success,
Yeah.
in my view.
Yeah. Because I don't think I would be able to handle it all because sometimes it just looks really like a lot. So I like that. Like I have a color coded in different calendars, and by now I know what the different colors mean when I get like a notification without even like reading it. So like I feel like once I got into that routine of like, okay, I need to do this at this time, do this at this time, and also being really flexible because sometimes like you never know what can happen. Like they like my managers could need me to like work on something really quickly, or like you could need me to send in a quick report. So sometimes I just keep some space like available on it to like have a little downtime to be like, okay, hey, I'm available to work in this if you need help or anything. But yeah, just I organize my day before like hand like next week I already have next week planned. Like I like having my week planned so that way I know what to add or take out of my calendar. But yeah, two calendars is the way to go.
Yeah, it's working well. So, do you have any specific advice you may have for future research assistants who will work on my project?
Yeah, I would say ask questions early and often. Like Dr. Kim was saying, I was always asking questions because like sometimes you never know like what could go wrong if you don't ask questions and you do a report wrong or incorrect. Like that's just gonna take more time out of your day. Like, But so
Mhm.
it's never I feel like some people are shy or like scared, I would say, to ask questions, especially to like like the professor of the project, because they don't want to seem like, oh my god, I don't know what I'm doing. But it's only your first week, you're not supposed to get everything right away. It's okay to ask questions, especially during that first week if you take on a new role. Like that's the pivotal time to ask questions to get everything down, not like when you're 6 weeks in and you're like, oh, what do I do if this happens, like like just ask questions and also like show up, like like just don't be too shy to show up, even in your discussion class. Don't be too shy to speak out when the RA is asking a question, like, do you have any input on this? Like those moments matter. Like they all matter. And it's also like you're also learning from it, because I mean you're not going to be a college student forever. You're going to go out into the world, and you're going to need to know how to communicate with people. Like I learned so much. Like I talked to a lot of different RAs this semester. Like, you have no idea that like it's helping me communicate better even at my internship. So you can never stop learning how to communicate. So yeah.
So one, I mean, that's honestly one of my first impressions of you, Blessing, was you asking such poignant questions. I could tell that you were really engaging and that you really wanted to do it right the first time, and that's what really impressed me.
Yes.
And that first impression goes a long way.
It really
You know what I mean?
does. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm here.
Yeah, so that's why that first impression was so positive, and then it's like a halo effect,
Yeah.
throughout the whole time I work with you. So, did you have any questions that you wanted me to answer during our interview today?
Yes, I actually have two questions. Okay, so my first question is, what inspired you to create Project Seed, and what goals did you have when it first began? And then my other question is, if you could describe now Project Dual in one sentence, what would it be?
Okay, so I want to answer your second question first.
Okay.
My legacy for Project Dual that I would like it to be is what starts here launches your career. So again, what starts here launches your career. So the reason why I say that is, as you know, I started with Project Seed, and I've been running that project for over 10 years. And over the course of 10 years, I've had literally over thousands of undergraduate RAs that worked on my project. I kid you not. Okay. And so then, because I've been running the project so long and I've had so many research assistants, they always tell me, they'll say, Dr. Kim, it doesn't matter where I am, wherever I go, if it's anything UT related, they said working on my project is like a network opener. Like, because as you know, nowadays, being able to network is one of the key ways to get a job. You have to know someone to get you to be introduced to someone to be able to land the job. And students have told me countless times over and over again that wherever they go, if it's anything UT related, if they work, talk about Project Seed or Project Dual, there's someone that they know in that room who's worked on my project. And that it can really launch your career, because that networking, the ability to network with other students who have, or alumni who's had common experience with you, can open
It
doors.
can.
You
Yeah. Yeah. I really like
So then,
that. I really like it. Lunch is your career. I mean, I could say it's the same for me. It's continuing like to launch me in my career, which is like amazing. I like that.
when you asked me what inspired you to create Project Seed in the
Yes.
beginning, and what goals did you have when it first began? So when I first came to UT Austin, I was, very young, to almost 20 years ago at this point,
Okay.
and I was an assistant professor, and I was in a tenure track job. And one of the things that we need to accomplish as an assistant professor is to get tenure. So once you have tenure, then you become an associate professor, and you have more of a job security.
Mhm.
Whereas before you're associate professor, when you're assistant professor, you're kind of like almost like in a probationary period to see if they're going to want to keep you as a professor.
Mhm.
So that first 6 years is where I worked as an assistant professor, trying to prove my research is worthy to get promoted to tenure.
Yeah.
So when I first came as assistant professor, I knew that I had to start a research project, because that's, as UT Austin is a research one university, we need to have high quality research to be able to get promoted to associate professor. So at the time, I did my dissertation on immigrant families. At the time, it was on Chinese American families, and I did my postdoc focused on Mexican immigrant families. And when I got hired at UT Austin, they were really interested in my background on immigrant families, and particularly my interest in Latino immigrant families, because of the large Latino immigrant family population in the state of Texas.
Right.
So then I was thinking at the time, what is really missing in the literature related to immigrant families. And then I really thought back into like my own childhood, because as I told you earlier, came to the United States when I was 9 years old as a child.
Yeah.
And I recall my parents not, I know you had the privilege of, being in a country, your country of origin, where English is the dominant language.
Yeah.
I came from Korea, where my parents didn't speak English, and they didn't have a high level of education where they learned English through their schooling. So they didn't know how to speak English.
Okay.
And so I had to be a translator for my parents. And I had to really negotiate the, outside English speaking world to my parents, and had to be a translator,
Yeah.
what we call language brokers, translating not only the language, but also the culture for my parents. And I was realizing that that experience, although it was talked about a little bit in the research and literature in developmental psychology and human development,
Mhm.
there wasn't a really big longitudinal study on this phenomenon or on this population. And so then I started writing grants. And I wrote a grant to the National Science Foundation, and I got so lucky. I got selected with what's called the National Science Foundation NSF Career Award, which is designed for early career faculty. And so I got that. That was one of my first major grants. And then after you get one, then it gets easier to get more grants, as you know. So it's kind of like when you are a research assistant at one place, and it's easier to get a research assistant another place, But so then once I got that huge NSF Career Award, then I started getting other grants from not only foundations, but also National Institutes of Health. And so then with so much money accumulated, we were able to launch the project, and, we were able to finish wave 4 with Project Seed. And then now that they're young adults, they're in their 20s now. They're no longer kids, they're in their 20s. That's when I, launched Project Dual to continue uh, expanding the study to learn about bilinguals more generally, not just children who translate for their parents.
Wow.
So, as we're coming to a conclusion to our interview, I was curious to ask you, was there anything else you wanted to say about your experience working on my project that you didn't touch on, or anything else you wanted me to elaborate that you wanted to say as your closing
Yeah,
sentences?
honestly, just like thanking you, if anything. Like, I mean, you're just doing such a great job and like being so consistent after like, that amount of years in the project and being still having that same dedication, even to like pivot into like, looking into like the young adults aspect now. It's like, it's still amazing. I feel like sometimes you lose your flow if it's like been long and you're like, but like being able to pivot and still being passionate about mentoring research assistants like myself. And like I feel like I get to learn a lot from you, probably because like we work together a lot and have so many roles, but still it's still very amazing. Like like someday I hope to like have that in my career as well. So it's just an amazing job what you're doing. And I can't wait to like keep watching it even after I graduate or after I'm done with the project. Like I'm so excited. So thank you.
Thank you for the kind words. So, everyone, I'm happy to close out the interview featuring Blessing Okotie, our February 2026 Research Assistant of the Month for Project Dual. Thank you, Blessing, for the incredible job you're doing and being an incredible mentor and a role model for other research assistants on the project. Thank you, everyone.